Ranking new movies released in October from worst to best. Now for each month when I do these what I watched videos, I'm finding out that there's always something that went wrong. Usually what goes wrong is I cherry pick like a dumbass and only choose to watch all the good movies that came out that month. But instead I defied all ChazClipz stereotypes and PR, going from a total of 5 in a month to watching a movie a day and 8 new releases in the month of October alone. So I guess comment down below if you're proud of me, because I grinded my absolute balls off, and follow me on Letterboxd, because please help a brother out. Now last place has got to go to Tron Ares. Now I know a lot of people actually really like Tron Ares, and I don't want to bum people out that really like it, but there was just so much more negatives than positives with this movie. First off, I'm an absolute sucker for a good opening logo variation, and the damn Disney Tower opening credits to this went insanely hard. I was also impressed with how this didn't look like a straight up Disney Plus original and actually looked like a real movie. And the soundtrack was solid, nothing close to Daft Punk, but it got the vibes and job done. But moving on to the negatives, I just think there was not enough grit in this movie, because it's pretty hard to make a Tron movie look cool if the final fight scene is in the middle of Kansas City. And my biggest complaint is people saw the trailer and just wanted to hate on Jared Leto, but the acting all around was extremely mediocre, especially from Greta Lee. Oh my god, there were so many times she reminded me she was actually acting. Same with Evan Peters, who came off as an absolute cartoon character with multiple line deliveries that were very odd. So overall, when someone says all of the best parts were in the trailer, Tron Ares is the definition of that. So sadly, it's a high 2 out of 5 for me, and originally it was a 2.5 out of 5, but being on this level of mid, it somehow made it worse, so 2 out of 5. Next we got The Black Phone 2, and the glaze this one has gotten is mind-blowing to me. Like, I've been seeing creators that are consistent and close to my rating scale give this damn near 5 out of 5 stars. And yes, I can really respect this movie for being a total upgrade with the snowy aesthetic mixed with the Super 8 filmed dream sequences, which created moments that genuinely felt like found footage tapes, which I love. And I also enjoyed some of the body horror elements, but I was so underwhelmed with how spread out the actual scary scenes were. Because until the climax, I did not find bootleg Freddy Krueger scary at all. First off, he isn't even in the film for a fat minute, and he's said to be one of the scariest slasher villains of the 21st century, but bro didn't even get a fucking kill in his own movie. So it's just a 3 out of 5 movie for me, but if you like the first one whatsoever, you're gonna like this one, so don't let me bum you out. Now this is a very middle of the road baseline movie biopic, so there's gonna be good acting performances in it, with the standout being Jeremy Strong, who might be up for a supporting actor nomination. Some of the visuals actually made this look like an actual movie, which I can respect, but at the end of the day, I've come to the conclusion that we have a very similar situation to A Complete Unknown with this movie, where if you're a diehard fan of Springsteen, you're gonna love it, but for the majority of us who don't care too much, you're just gonna think it's alright. I thought it was a fun time to learn about Bruce Springsteen's pickiness when it comes to creating his music, but other than that, the biggest takeaway I had was Jeremy Allen White tilting his head to the right is to him what Brad Pitt eating in every scene is to Brad Pitt. Bro really did tilt his head that much to the right, so 3 out of 5. In the 5th spot, we got Good Fortune, which follows Aziz Ansari, who kind of is having a middle life crisis, but is intercepted by an angel played by Keanu Reeves, who wants to teach him a lesson about life, so he gets him to switch lives with Seth Rogen, who's a rich tech millionaire, which actually backfires in fun and crazy ways. Now this movie is the most written by Aziz Ansari movie ever, which can be a good and bad thing, where I can respect the originality, but most of the time the dialogue comes off very millennial coded, which can make this movie feel like it's filled with cornballs. And I also wanted to shout out how I loved Keanu Reeves in this. Bro went from an innocent angel to a nicotine addicted dishwasher cleaner within a Schenectady, New York amount of time, and it was so fun to watch. So after this shit actually got in the flow of things, it shifted from what I thought was going to be a very movie in the beginning to a very enjoyable, original, heartwarming, breath of fresh air comedy, so this was a very solid 3.5 out of 5 for me, and worth checking out. In the 4th spot, we got Shelby Oaks, which I personally think has the best movie poster of the big 2025. This follows a YouTube ghost hunting show called The Paranormal Paranoids, who all went missing in Shelby Oaks, an abandoned ghost town. The leader of the crew, Riley, who has a unique case of sixth sense, is the main focus, with her sister trying to track her down through clues scattered across their YouTube found footage investigations. First off, I thought this movie could be revolutionary for the found footage genre with how it mixes its sinister style horror route with a cinematic structure, but after a while, it just kind of turned into a regular movie. My second biggest takeaway is that this shit was actually scary, and I don't know if it was just the power of the movie theater, but I got jump scared like a little bitch at least 4 solid times. Now these would low-key all work because of how well Chris Stuckman builds up his tension and positions the camera for it to always be begging for a jump scare. Now, this movie is low-key filled with flaws, especially with the character's decision-making being inconsistent as shit, but it just went by so fast and had enough scares for me to classify it as an actual scary movie, which is rare nowadays. So just for that, I gave this a low 4 out of 5, and I recommend you go check it out. In the third spot, we surprisingly have VHS Halloween. Now, if you've never heard of the VHS franchise, they are found footage horror movies that started all the way back in 2012, with each one being built around a main tape where the story is split up between all the other tapes, usually giving us about 5 to 6 total segments per film. And I recently just watched the entire franchise, but specifically moving back to VHS Halloween, this is probably the most generational and most beneficial rewatch I've had in my entire life. I initially watched this on October 4th, giving it a 2.5 out of 5, sitting as one of the worst movies in the franchise for a while to a whopping 4 out of 5 on October 25th. Moving it to one of the best movies in the franchise, so I highly recommend this movie and be on the lookout for a future VHS ChazClipz content because my ass is gonna make a ton over this subject. In the second spot, we got The Smashing Machine. First off, the biggest complaint I've seen online about this movie is that it was not the fighting movie it was advertised to be. And I wish more people just knew this was a Safdie film, so you shouldn't be going into it expecting it to be a regular fighting movie biopic, because although there are fighting scenes in it, it's more heavily focused on the characters and the vibe the fight is portraying. It's also shot in such a unique way and feels more like a documentary than an actual film, where the camera will be sneaking around a corner or feel super far away, giving you sort of tunnel vision as a viewer. Also, I had no doubt in my mind that that was actually Mark Kerr that The Rock was playing, so yes, I do think he's up for that Oscar, even though this movie kind of bombed at the box office. So overall, the best way to describe this movie is that it's a Safdie movie biopic in a sort of documentary style of Mark Kerr's life, focusing on themes of how to deal with losing, addiction, and sadly being one of those forgotten athletes. If you really like The Iron Claw, you're probably gonna enjoy this one, and I really like the vibe this one gave off, so I gave it a low 4 out of 5. Now, before the number 1 spot, hit that follow button and follow me on Letterboxd, because I write reviews for all of these damn movies and my heart out and soul for each one. And easily in today's number 1 spot, we have Roof Man. This film follows Channing Tatum, an ex-military criminal who is a mix of being a calculated genius and kind of a big friendly doofus at the same time. He finds himself as a fugitive sheltered in a Toys R Us and gains feelings for Kristen Dunst, who works there. He really tries to balance his life as a fugitive and a man in need for love. Now, I really enjoyed this movie just letting us enjoy Tatum home aloneing in the Toys R Us for a while, finding creative ways to pass the time. But this movie was not the sunshine and rainbows I thought it was gonna be. It balances the realness and comedy really well, where if it leaned too hard on either side, it would have been either too goofy or just straight up depressing. But instead, it works. It just works. A definite small complaint I had was it felt like 2 hours and could have been trimmed down somewhere to flow even faster, but I don't know where. And of course I had to add that Channing Tatum has an enormous Johnson. Like, there's a scene where he's double cheeked up and they tried to hide it, but it was just dangling there like crazy. So very impressive work, Mr. Tate Yum. So overall, I would recommend this movie for pretty much anyone. I would just go in expecting a kind of deeper Jerry and Marge Go Large with a few extra serious tones sprinkled in. Roof Man was a solid 4 out of 5. End of discussion.